Every day I work with so many different people, busy entrepreneurs in New York, creative professionals in California, or parents who've forgotten how to take care of themselves. And there's one thing I think about a lot: most of us don't really understand ourselves. We run fast, we run far, but we rarely stop to ask a simple question: why am I running in the first place? If you're watching this video, maybe you felt that way too. That foggy, lost feeling, like there's a thick layer of mist surrounding your mind. You do so many things throughout the day: answer emails, hit deadlines, take care of your family, but at the end of the day, you feel empty. And you wonder, why do I feel so disconnected from myself? I once had a patient named Laura. She was smart, successful, always strong on the outside. One day in exhaustion, she told me, "I do so much, but I don't know which of it is truly mine and which is just to please everyone else." That sentence stayed with me because it captures the confusion of modern life so perfectly. We know so many things, but understand so little about ourselves. And that's exactly where Stoic philosophy comes in, not as some distant theory or mystical teaching, but as a mirror that helps us see ourselves clearly again. Stoics constantly ask a question that I think every one of us needs to ask daily: is this within my control? I want you to imagine this. Tomorrow morning, you wake up and look at your to-do list. There are so many things you have to do, but among all of that, how many are truly yours? And how many are things you do because you're afraid of being judged, afraid of disappointing someone, afraid of rejection? A lot of people tell me they want to understand themselves more, but they don't know where to start. And I always tell them, the first step to self-understanding isn't finding the answer, it's asking the right question. Think back to the last time you lost your temper. Maybe someone cut you off in traffic. Maybe your kid spilled milk on the kitchen floor. In that moment, you reacted out of habit, anger, frustration, exhaustion. But if you slow down, you'll see that your reaction says more about you than about the situation. That's what Stoicism wants us to explore. Your reaction is a doorway into your inner world. I remember a close friend once told me, "It's been so long since I felt like myself. It's like I'm living someone else's life." And I asked him, "Do you spend even a single minute sitting with your feelings?" He went silent, and that silence said everything. Understanding yourself is not some grand dramatic journey. It begins in the small moments, the moments when you pause, the moments when you look at your own reactions, the moments when you ask yourself, why did I choose this? Why do I feel this way? What is this trying to tell me? Stoicism doesn't demand perfection. It doesn't ask you to suppress emotions or pretend you're emotionless. Not at all. Stoicism simply gives you a compass, so that in the chaos of modern life you still know where your true north is. I want you to imagine this. If every day you spent just a few minutes talking to yourself honestly, observing your emotions instead of being swept away by them, listening to the values that genuinely matter to you, how would your life change? Maybe you'd feel calmer, more grounded, more certain. And most importantly, you'd start becoming honest with yourself. Because the truth is this: none of us were born understanding ourselves. We learn who we are through small daily choices, through mistakes, through the moments we look inward instead of trying to control everything around us. And that's the journey I want to invite you into today, the journey of understanding yourself. A journey the Stoics began thousands of years ago, and one you can begin right here, right now, in this moment. 1. The 3 core pillars of understanding yourself through Stoicism. When people hear understanding yourself through Stoicism, they often imagine abstract theories or ancient teachings. But the reality is much simpler. Stoics were deeply practical. They didn't study philosophy to sound wise. They used it to live better, calmer, clearer lives. And if you want to understand yourself on a deeper level, you'll always return to 3 fundamental principles. I call them the 3 mirrors Stoics use to see into their inner world. A1. Identifying what you can control. first door into the inner self. I want you to pause for 10 seconds and think about something that's been stressing you lately. Maybe it's someone's opinion of you. Maybe it's a work situation that isn't going your way. Maybe it's the behavior of someone you love. Now ask yourself, out of all of that, what is actually within your control? Based on years of working with people, I can tell you this: 80% of our suffering comes from trying to control what isn't ours to control. I remember a patient in San Diego, brilliant guy, hard-working, dedicated, but every week he came into my office stressed out of his mind. "Doc, I'm afraid they think I'm not good enough. I'm afraid my boss isn't happy. I'm afraid people misunderstand me." And every time I asked him the same Stoic question from 2,000 years ago, "Are other people's thoughts within your control?" He went silent, and when someone stays silent long enough, they usually begin to see the truth. The only things you truly control are your actions, your choices, your reactions, your effort, the attitude you bring into the world. That's it. Stoicism doesn't tell you to be cold or indifferent, it simply teaches you to separate. This is mine, and this is life's. Once you see that boundary clearly, you start understanding yourself on a profound level. Because you no longer get pulled by things outside your reach. You stop losing direction trying to please everyone. You stop defining your worth by things you can't change. You start living in the zone where you can actually make a difference. And that is the foundation of truly understanding yourself. A2. Observing your emotions from the outside. Understanding what drives your reactions. If there's one thing modern Americans often misunderstand about Stoicism, it's this. Many people think Stoics teach us to suppress emotions. Not true, not even close. The Stoics never believed emotions were bad. They simply said, don't let your emotions drive the car. Think of your emotions like waves. They come, they go, and sometimes they're powerful enough to pull you under. But if you learn how to observe them, you stay on the shore instead of drowning. I once worked with a young photographer in Los Angeles named Melissa, brilliant creative mind. But emotionally, she felt like a storm inside a small room. Everything was intense, overwhelming, and easily shaken. One negative comment on Instagram could ruin her entire week. One day I asked her, "Do you know why one tiny comment hurts you so much?" She said, "Because it makes me feel like I'm not good enough." And I told her, it's not the comment that hurts you, it's the belief inside you that makes the comment feel true. That's what Stoicism wants us to see. Your emotions are not enemies, they're signals. They tell you what you fear, what you feel you lack, what part of you needs healing, what value inside you is being triggered. You can try a simple Stoic technique called pause and observe. When an emotion rises, don't react immediately. Just pause, breathe, and ask, where is this coming from? What part of me feels threatened? What is this moment trying to teach me? That's how you begin to truly understand yourself, not by running from emotions, but by looking at them directly, as you would look at a wise, honest friend who's trying to tell you something important. 3. Living aligned with your true values. The final mirror to see your real self. Understanding yourself isn't just about looking inward, it's also about how you live outwardly, your choices, your behaviors, your everyday life. I once had a patient named Richard, a tech engineer in San Jose. He had everything, great income, beautiful home, real chances for career advancement. Yet he told me, I feel like I'm living someone else's life. When I asked him why, he almost whispered, because what I'm doing doesn't reflect who I really am. Modern life pulls us away from our values in the smallest, quietest ways. Expectations from family, judgments from society, pressure from the workplace, fear of being criticized, constant comparison with others. Stoicism takes the opposite approach. Stoics believe that understanding yourself begins with living according to your deepest values, the ones no one can take away from you. Marcus Aurelius said, "If something doesn't feel right for you, don't do it. If something isn't true to you, don't say it." When you live according to your values, you become stronger, you become clearer, and most importantly, you become free. I often ask my clients to write down 3 questions. 1. What truly matters most to me? 2. What kind of person do I want to become? 3. Do my actions today reflect the person I want to be? They sound simple, but they can redirect the course of your life. Because when you know what you believe in, you know how to live. When you understand what strengthens you, you stop being shaken so easily. When you're honest with yourself, peace comes naturally. And it's through living your values, not reading books, not repeating affirmations, that you understand yourself on the deepest level. When these 3 elements merge, everything changes. When you combine all 3, controlling what's yours, observing your emotions, and living your truth, you'll feel a clear shift inside. You stop getting pulled into what you can't control. You observe emotions instead of being led by them. You make choices based on who you are, not what others expect. And suddenly you realize, oh, this is who I really am. Understanding yourself is not a destination, it's a journey, walked step by step, moment by moment. But each step, guided by Stoic philosophy, brings you closer to clarity, peace, and authenticity. 2. 3 Stoic practices to help you love yourself every day. Once you understand the 3 core pillars we discussed earlier, knowing what you can control, observing your emotions, and living aligned with your true values, you begin to unlock something very special, the ability to love yourself in the way the Stoics actually meant. And I want to emphasize this right away. Self-love in Stoicism is not indulgence, it is discipline. It is an intentional act, a choice you make every single day. A lot of people think self-love means going to the spa, resting, or buying yourself something nice. And there's nothing wrong with those things. But Stoic self-love goes much deeper. It's like caring for your own soul, quietly, patiently, consistently. And the 3 practices I'm about to share with you can completely change the way you see yourself. I've watched them bring peace back into the lives of hundreds of people who felt lost for years, and I truly believe they can do the same for you. 1. Journaling. The most honest conversation you'll ever have with yourself. I know when people hear journaling, they often think, oh, I don't have time. My days are way too busy for that. But if there is one habit the Stoics consistently practiced for thousands of years, it's Stoic journaling. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world at the time, kept a journal. Epictetus, once a slave, kept a journal. Philosophers, generals, teachers, spiritual leaders, they all wrote. And the reason is simple. You cannot understand yourself without talking to yourself. I once worked with a patient named Hannah, a nurse in the ICU in Chicago. Her job was so intense that every day felt like a battlefield. She came into my office one day and said, I don't even know what I'm feeling anymore. Everything is too fast, too much, too heavy. I suggested journaling. She laughed. I barely sleep. How am I supposed to write? But one day she tried it, just 3 minutes. And she burst into tears because when she wrote, she began to see where her exhaustion came from. What triggered her anger, what fed her anxiety, what made her sad. The things she used to feel vaguely suddenly had names. And once an emotion is named, it loses its power to hurt you. Journaling isn't about becoming perfect, it's about seeing yourself clearly, honestly, like shining a flashlight into the dark corners of your mind. I often ask my students to write just 3 questions. How did I react today? What am I proud of? What inside me needs more understanding? That's it, 3 questions, 1 page, 5 minutes a day. but it can change your entire life. 02. Memento mori. Remembering your mortality to live more deeply and authentically. This is the practice that surprises most people when they hear it for the first time. Memento mori. Remember, you will die. It sounds dark, but in reality, it's one of the most powerful tools for living a meaningful life. I once worked with a businessman in New York, successful, wealthy, admired, but deeply empty. He told me, "I have everything people dream of, but I don't feel alive." During one session, I asked him, "If you knew you only had 1 year left to live, would you still be living like this?" He didn't answer, but I saw something shift in his eyes. Stoicism doesn't remind us of death to scare us. It reminds us so we wake up, to remind us that time will not wait for us, to get our lives perfectly organized before we start living. And here's what's fascinating. When you become aware that life is finite, you begin to understand yourself faster than any self-help course could ever teach you. You start asking, what truly matters? What doesn't deserve my anger, my arguments, my sleepless nights? Am I living according to my values or according to someone else's expectations? A woman I once worked with named Sarah told me, "The day my doctor said I might not make it through that year, that was the day I finally understood what I truly valued." And then she let out a soft laugh. It turns out, the most important things are actually very simple. Time with my daughter, quiet afternoons, moments where I get to be myself. You see, once you understand that life is finite, you begin to love yourself in a deeper way. You no longer want to waste time on things that don't belong to you. You no longer want to live according to someone else's expectations. You want to live in a way that feels true to who you are. And that is the most beautiful kind of self-love. A self-love born from awareness. 03. Negative visualization, imagining the loss of what you have, to appreciate yourself more. It sounds counterintuitive at first. Why imagine losing the things you have? But this is one of the most healing Stoic practices. Negative visualization isn't pessimism. It's realizing the true value of what's already in your life. Because sometimes happiness doesn't come from having more, but from finally recognizing how much you already have. I remember a story about a man named Jacob, a teacher in Texas. He constantly felt that life was dull, that everything was just ordinary. He told me, "I don't have anything special." During one session I asked him, "Imagine waking up tomorrow and losing something you currently have, something ordinary you've never really noticed." He frowned. "Like what?" I said. "Like your vision." He went silent for a long time. Then he whispered, "If I lost my sight, I'd miss my wife's face. I'd miss the way her eyes look at me. I'd miss the way my kids smile." In just a few minutes, he realized his life was anything but ordinary. It was full of things precious beyond measure, things he had been taking for granted. Negative visualization helps you understand something essential. You can only truly love yourself when you appreciate the life you already have. When you're grateful for your body, your emotions, your relationships, the little moments, everything becomes part of your self-love journey. I often guide my students with gentle exercises. Imagine a day without your phone. Imagine losing a favorite habit. Imagine someone important having to leave your life, not to feel sad, but to help your heart return to the truth. Nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is supposed to be there. And you, your existence, are just as precious. This practice helps you see yourself clearly. It helps you reevaluate what is enough, what is meaningful, and what has been forgotten. And when you realize how much you already have, you naturally become softer, kinder with yourself. Why these three practices lead to deep self-love? Because self-love in the Stoic sense doesn't come from temporary feel-good moments. It comes from honesty, awareness, appreciation, observation, intentional action. Journaling helps you see yourself clearly. Memento mori helps you live truthfully. Negative visualization helps you appreciate the present. All three blend together, and you begin to love yourself not with words, but through the way you live. And when you love yourself in the right way, you stop seeking validation from outside. You become strong in a very quiet, very steady way. Now that we've walked through the three core pillars of self-understanding and the three practices that help you love yourself every day, I want you to pause for a moment and take a deep breath, because everything you've just heard, whether it's journaling, memento mori, or negative visualization, leads to the same truth. You deserve to be understood by yourself. You deserve to be valued by yourself. You deserve to be loved by yourself. This is not a privilege. It's not something you earn by being perfect. It's not a reward for success or for others' approval. It is a right. And more than that, it is a responsibility. Stoic self-love isn't a burst of positivity. It is the choice you make every day, even in chaos. You choose to treat yourself with kindness. You choose to be honest with yourself. You choose to live by the values that make you strong. And sometimes, self-love isn't something dramatic. It's allowing yourself to rest when you're exhausted. It's looking at your emotions without judging yourself. It's saying no to things that pull you away from who you really are. It's reminding yourself that life is finite, and you want to live it beautifully. I want you to remember this. No one will ever understand you the way you can understand yourself. And no one will ever love you in the steady, grounded, authentic way you can love yourself. Every day you practice these small things, whether it's 5 minutes of journaling, 30 seconds of emotional awareness, or a brief moment contemplating the fragility of life, you are building a stronger, calmer, more authentic version of yourself. When you understand yourself, you become gentler with life. When you love yourself, you become steadier in the storms. And when you know what truly belongs to you, you stop losing yourself in the crowd. That is the beauty of Stoic philosophy. It doesn't promise a perfect life. It gives you the strength to live a true, peaceful and powerful one. If you've made it this far, I want to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time to nourish your awareness. Thank you for being brave enough to face the questions many people avoid. And thank you for allowing me to walk alongside you in this journey. And if you want to keep growing, to keep finding peace in a chaotic world, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for Stoic Awakening more. Every week I share modern Stoic insights, from emotional mastery, overcoming challenges, relationship clarity, to rediscovering your true values. All through real stories, real experiences, from real people searching for themselves, just like you. And if this video touched you in any way, leave a comment and share what you discovered about yourself today. I read every single comment, and sometimes one small insight from you can inspire someone else more than you realize. Remember, the journey of understanding yourself has no finish line. It only has deeper, more meaningful steps. And you, are already on the right path. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video on Stoic Awakening more.